What's the better anime, Dragon Ball or Shingeki no Kyojin? Well, I predict one answer will be AOT easily clears. The depth for the characters, insane plot twists and world building, the mythological and geopolitical symbolism and the allegories are unmatched. Well, okay, but Toriyama-sensei is famous for his off-the-cuff writing style, so how's that fair? If anything, plot-heavy material such as the Cell Saga with tons of moving parts should be considered even more impressive considering the lack of preparation and the stellar execution. So do you agree that direct and vague comparison between these shows is unfair and unhelpful? And thus, do you agree that these types of questions are dumb? Don't get me wrong, media comparison can be constructive, but I just think people need to specify the premise of their questions. Like individual characters with similar archetypes, or the same attempted trope between stories, or the execution of a common theme. My point is that if I want to write a Dragon Ball, I get a first draft out and show it to someone for feedback who happens to have a very narrow-minded view of storytelling. Will their advice be all that helpful to someone like me? Maybe my story lacks clear thought-out foreshadowing, maybe my antagonists are morally simplistic. Maybe my world-building developments are clearly on the fly, but ask yourself, are any of those objectively bad storytelling decisions? This is why I rarely dislike comparison questions, because they're usually the same vague and blunt smashing of action figures together. The framing of the question clings on the anime label as the most superficial connection of all time. Just because these are both animated series producing the same 300,000 kilometer square miles of each other, they're grouped together, and it's deemed worthy of comparison. It's frustrating even outside of this when anime is hyper-generalized as being weird or whatever. Obviously these are two action-packed shonens and there are similarities to compare, but the actual discussion for this type of question never focuses on the connections and the similar things, overall just a very blunt, general overview of the series. You could argue Dragon Ball's improvisational writing style contributes to its status as one of the greatest adventure stories of all time. The horizon authentically feels unknown and exciting, then the ending of each saga genuinely feels full of possibilities and impossible to predict. You could argue Shingeki no Kyojin's premeditated style actively reflects the in-universe predestination of the plot with all the biblical and historical themes, and it mirrors both Eren and Isayama-sensei becoming slaves to their own narrative and contradicting the freedom they fought so hard for in the first place. And both of these stories are S-tier, but the art of storytelling isn't so linear that all great media are alike. If I were to move on to another common example, who's the better character, Avatar Aang or Prince Zuko? Well, it's clearly Zuko. His moral complexity, relapses, and incredible development are just, incredible. Aang just mostly stays the same and barely has any character development. Okay, but again, how is that fair? If you said that to the Avatar writers, how exactly are they supposed to apply your observation to Aang? Do you just make Book 1 Aang selfish and mean so you can force him to change over the course of the story? Well, no. Aang is just a different type of character, but no type is necessarily lesser. I think the rise in moral complexity and retrospectiveness of classic archetypes of 90s media up to 2010s has really wired audiences into thinking complexity equals equality, and differences are inherently inferior.
Philip's Joker is easily the best version of the character, when we ignore that second one. He actually has depth and understandable motivations. DCAU and comic Joker are overrated, they're just evil for no reason.
And regardless of the inaccuracy of that strawman argument, it's perfectly fine to have a preference for more retrospective, morally ambiguous, ethically grey character writing whatever pretentiously long-term it is these days. But nothing in storytelling is objective, apart from plot holes or technical mistakes, or whatever. Most of storytelling is not objective. It's an art form which contradicts the definition. There are many works considered masterpieces that also defy writing rules considered fundamental. Side note, this is why I don't really engage in stuff like, who mogs in writing, or who solos in terms of writing, or r/writing scaling. Yeah, sure, if you're listening, we might need another flood. But yeah, you can't really definitively place one approach over the other, but instead, the separate execution of the same approach in different stories. You should compare Zuko to Kratos or Vegeta, or compare Aang to Naruto or Optimus Prime or something. And even then, these are very superficial examples. Don't be like me, you can do better. Analyze and deconstruct patterns and techniques in these characters. Notice them in other works. Ask interesting and helpful questions while expanding your own storytelling knowledge. Expose yourself to more diverse storytelling styles. Amateur writers will receive more constructive advice. Communication circles become more productive, and the media industry will thank you. In conclusion, Shadow the Hedgehog is the pinnacle of fictional character writing, and no one else even comes close.